school vlog, just you, me, in the car, talking.
And what are we talking about on this beautiful day? Well, we're talking about the Huracan Performante. Well, a little bit flamboyant, I think. Anyway, we are talking about the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. Now, for anybody who is not in the know, the Performante is a more hardcore, more kind of track-focused version of the Huracan, just like with the previous generation Gallardo when the Superleggera first came out, which, by the way, little backstory, the first-gen Gallardo Superleggera that came out in 2008 is my favorite Lamborghini of all time, still is. Well, besides maybe the Aventador, but when that car first came out, I loved it right away, and I loved it even more than the versions that came out later, you know, the LP versions of the car, and even the Performante versions that came out after that, even the like Sesto Aumento and crazy stuff like that. I still like the first gen Gallardo Superleggera, and the reason why is because most of you know by now that I'm a fan of Top Gear, and they had an episode, it might have been in 2008 when the car first came out, but it was an older, not older episode, but it's been, you know, out for a few years, and they were trying to find the best driving road of all time, or like the best driving car, and Jeremy Clarkson picked the 08 Superleggera, and he showed up in that car with the, you know, the yellowish orange color, and I loved it, man. Ever since, I just love that car. And James picked like an Aston Martin V8 Vantage race car because he's an idiot, and it didn't have air conditioning or windows or anything. And then Richard chose a 911 GT3 RS, of course, because he's a Porsche fanboy, like I am the Chevrolet VIP collector.
That is unbelievably good.
Oh, yeah.
Right, what do we think about that road?
You don't want to talk about your car then, James?
About your car.
Well, no, I thought we were here to find a good road.
You don't like your car, do you?
So I've loved the Superleggera ever since. Back to the Huracan, let's forget about the old generation. So the new Performante has, as you would expect, you know, a different front end, more aggressive styling, and more serious aero. So a better front splitter, a big rear wing, and some different styling on the back bumper as well. And a slight power increase up to 640 from 610. So the Performante going to be a cool version of the Huracan, and Lamborghini decided to test this car at a track you may have heard of called the Nürburgring. Shout out to Muscle vs. Tuner. Of course, the Nürburgring. And the Nürburgring is, you know, the track where manufacturers take their cars to, I mean, it's a proving ground. It's what establishes your place in the pecking order or your spot on the food chain. And the car that is currently, well, was currently at the top of that food chain was the Porsche 918 Spider. Now, we all know the Porsche 918 Spider is a very fast car. And, you know, it set the lap record at the Nürburgring for production cars. So that's why it was at the top. And I believe it was 6 minutes and 57 seconds, I want to say. Now, the new Huracan Performante beat that time, but not only beat it, obliterated it, okay, by 5 seconds. And 5 seconds, when you're talking about track times, may as well be in eternity. I mean, that's a long time. Even on a big track like that, 5 seconds is a pretty long time. But here's the problem, is that the Huracan is not that fast. Now, bear with me for a second. I know the Huracan is a fast car, but even my modified Z06 took down one with no problem. Sorry, Parker. But the Huracan, you know, even being a quick car, it isn't that fast. I mean, let's look at power to weight ratio for a second. Now, I couldn't get the exact weight of the Performante because it isn't really out yet, but I'm gonna guess about 3,300 pounds with 640 horsepower. You're looking at about 1 horsepower per 5 pounds. The Porsche 918 with roughly 880 horsepower and weighing in at about 3,600 pounds, you're looking at about 4 pounds per horsepower. So the Huracan is at a pretty clear disadvantage. And even if, let's give Lambo the benefit of the doubt, even if the Lambo handles a lot better than the 918, which I don't think it does, even if it does have, let's say, marginally better handling, it's not going to be faster around the Nürburgring because that track isn't a track that just favors handling. You got to be fast everywhere. You can't just go around corners fast. And a 918 is going to obliterate any Huracan. I don't care if it's a Performante, I don't care if it's the Superman version of the Huracan. It's going to obliterate it. A 918 would walk by this car like it's not even moving. And if you look at these two clips, you can see that although the Huracan does look quick, and quite frankly, it looks a lot quicker than a normal Huracan, even a Performante version, so we'll get into that later. But even though the Huracan looks quick, the Porsche 918 is just as fast. You know, it's carrying just as much speed, and it appears as though it's accelerating faster anytime there's even a small straightaway, as you would expect. So I don't see where the Lambo is picking up these 5 seconds. By the way, those clips were courtesy of Porsche, and I'll put the links in the description, but I want to thank them for the videos. But as you can see, you can watch the whole thing, by the way. I'll put the links down there. It's really fascinating to watch. But, you know, like I just said, the Huracan, it just isn't going to be faster that much than a 918. I mean, I don't think it's going to be faster at all, but to say that it's 5 seconds faster, I mean, for the Huracan to beat a 918 period would be really impressive. That'd be like, holy shit, how is that possible? But by 5 seconds, that's insane. And there's also, that's like moving into territory like, oh my God, is that an old FJ? Like an old Toyota? Yeah, it is. That's very cool. But we're moving into the territory of like, that's impossible. That's where we're at right now. And that's really all I can say about it. I don't think that's possible. And there's some really fishy stuff going on with the Huracan in the video. Like you can see the Porsche, for example, has a passenger seat, doesn't have a cage, looks like a normal car. The Huracan, no seat, full cage. And like I said, it looks like it's picking up speed really fast. So there's a couple of different things that could go on here. Maybe they edited the video or did some witchcraft there, or you know, the car is much more powerful than what they're saying, and because it's like a you know, it's not a production car, it's like modified by them to go a lot faster, or maybe a combination of the two. Or a third option, now this is a possibility, that Lamborghini has found a way to circumvent the laws of physics that the rest of us have to abide by, and they've created a Lamborghini with alien technology that can go really fast for seemingly no reason. Now, Lamborghini, if that's the truth, please, you know, I know you would want to keep that for yourself, but share your secrets with the rest of us. And then there's the whole issue of tires, where people were saying, well, what tires was the Lambo running on? And Lamborghini says that they had Pirelli people on staff, and that this was 100% legit, and these are the same Trofeo Rs that you would get on the car if you bought it off the showroom floor. But who knows if that's true. Again, this is all coming from Lamborghini. And let's not forget that Lamborghini has lied before with the Aventador SV. They said that this car was going to be the fastest thing you've ever seen. It's going to be the greatest, like Donald Trump talk. It's going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen. And I can't do his voice. I'm not even going to attempt it. But it's the greatest car in the whole world. And then once it got into the hands of regular people, we found out that that wasn't necessarily true, as proven by our good friend Salamandrin, who tested it on thermal. And I believe that the 675 LT beat that car along with a few others. So, you know, it really wouldn't surprise me if Lamborghini was lying about the SV, so it wouldn't be a big shock if Lambo was also lying about the Huracan. You have to understand that the market for a supercar is not what it was even a short time ago. You have McLaren now that's moving cars so fast and setting the bar so high. You know, they make a new car every 2 to 3 years. So by that standard, the Huracan is already old. I mean, it came out in what? I think 2013, right? So it's crazy to think that that's where we're at in the market, but that is the reality. And, you know, the Aventador is a dinosaur. Don't get me wrong, I'm driving a fucking Corvette, so take what I say with a grain of salt. They're still amazing cars, the Aventador and the Huracan, and the SV's a ridiculous car as well. But, you know, just compared to the competition, it's stiff competition out there. And the Huracan is just not gonna do, it's not going to be the end-all be-all of the mid-range supercars like Lamborghini is claiming. You know, McLaren's coming out with the 720S. That's going to mop the floor with everything. So, you know, Lamborghini has to kind of embellish a little bit. They have to kind of say, you know, this car is going to be great. It's going to do this, this, and this if they want to sell it. Lamborghini's always going to sell cars because of the name, but I think that this is just them trying to stay relevant as best as they can, because, like I said, times are changing, and changing quick. American flag. And some redneck trucks there for sure, but I like them. I say redneck as a compliment. Anyway, that's about all I have to say on the Huracan Performante situation. I think it's going to be a great car, but I do not think that Lamborghini is being honest with us about it. So let me know what you think. Are you excited for the car? I know I am. And do you think that Lamborghini is telling the truth or not? But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you are stopping in for the first time, please subscribe. Take care. Have a great day. Whoa!